Joining us now is Josh Hammer, Senior Editor-at-Large at Newsweek. Josh, it's great to see you again. It's no secret that Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom are eyeing off the presidency for 2028, but this weekend they announced that they are considering it. Here is Kamala Harris on the BBC.
And it's in my bones. And there are many ways to serve. I've not decided yet what I will do in the future beyond what I am doing right now.
But you've been very clear that it's a possibility you might run again to become president. And in my experience interviewing politicians, when someone says, I'm not done, it means they are thinking seriously about running. But when you look at the bookies' odds, they put you as an outsider, even behind Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, is that underestimating you?
I think there are all kinds of polls that will tell you a variety of things. I've never listened to polls. If I listened to polls, I would have not run for my first office or my second office, and I certainly wouldn't be sitting here in this interview.
Might be time she starts listening to the polls, but also Gavin Newsom, he's confirmed that he's considering a bid for the 2028 Democratic presidential nomination.
I'm looking forward to who presents themselves in 2028 and who meets that moment. And that's the question for the American people.
Is it fair to say after the 2026 midterms, you're going to give it serious thought?
Yeah, I'd be lying otherwise. I'd just be lying, and I can't do that.
Governor, you have long said that if you ever run for the White House, you need a compelling why, a reason. Are you moving closer to figuring out your own why and your own decision?
Yeah, Nietzsche said, if you have a compelling why, you can endure any how. And so I think the biggest challenge for anyone who runs for any office is people see right through you if you don't have that why. You're doing it for the wrong reasons. And so, look, well, that fate will determine that.
You certainly seem to like being on the ground in South Carolina, I have to say that. Seeing you up close, you were having a good time.
I happen to, and thank God, I'm in the right business. I love people.
Oh, Josh, the gaslighting. I mean, listening to Gavin Newsom saying, oh, I couldn't lie to you. I couldn't lie to you. I mean, look at how he handled the LA fires at the start of the year, just lie after lie. Polymarket says that there's a 22% chance that Newsom will be the next president. He's trailing behind JD Vance, who's on 29%. What did you make of hearing from Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom there?
Well, where to begin? I mean, Kamala Harris, I mean, what in the world, Gabriella, is she thinking? I mean, like, literally, what is she thinking? This woman got absolutely smoked. She got shellacked. She lost every single swing state, literally all 7 of the major swing states, the 4 Sun Belt swing states of Arizona, Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, as well as the 3 Rust Belt swing states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. And this woman still thinks that she has a shot to run again. Why? I mean, what would actually give her that idea? I mean, who is boosting her ego? Who is feeding her this kind of information that there is some hidden majority of Americans that are just savoring, they're just chomping at the bit to get President Kamala Harris? There is no one. There is no constituency. There is no hidden majority. There is just a not so hidden, not so thinly veiled vanguard of radical far left crazies who, by the way, have already moved on as the case may be, to Zohran Mamdani. So, that's going to be the real divide in 2028 for the Democrats. It's going to be a divide between not even the moderate wing, because genuinely actual 1990s Bill Clinton-esque Democrats are not just a dying breed, they are dead at this point there. But let's call it the slightly less crazy wing. That's going to be the fight between the slightly less crazy wing and the Zohran Mamdani full-fledged Marxist, communist, anti-Western civilization wing. It's going to be a fight to behold there. I think Gavin Newsom has as high a shot as anyone at this time. The silver lining for Republicans, Gabrielle, is that Gavin Newsom's track record as governor of California is positively abhorrent. He is the first governor in the entire history of the Golden State to oversee a population decline, to oversee California losing states in the Electoral College. It literally has not happened since California became a state in the 1850s until Gavin Newsom was governor. So he has a horrific track record. And if he is the nominee, then whoever is the Republican nominee nominee, whether it's J.D. Vance, Marco Rubio, or someone else, that person will certainly be licking his chops, I think.
Well, while the Democrats have been speaking about themselves and as they hope to be president one day, Donald Trump has been getting it done on the world stage during his trip to Asia. The president signed a peace deal between Cambodia and Thailand. He signed trade deals with Cambodia, Thailand and Malaysia. He's met with Japan's newly elected Prime Minister. And here he is dancing alongside Malaysian performers as he was greeted on the first leg of his tour. I love it. Any excuse to play Donald Trump's dance moves, we will do it on this program. But Josh, isn't it refreshing to have a president who's high energy? I mean, we had years of Joe Biden who was falling up and down the stairs on the world stage, where Donald Trump is busting out his dance moves, and you can see people just love him there, and no signs of cognitive decline, unlike Joe Biden. But Donald Trump is expected to meet with China's President Xi Jinping later in the week. The two countries have agreed to a framework that means that it's likely that China will avoid 100% tariffs on Chinese imports. So he's certainly a deal maker. We are once again seeing the art of the deal playing out.
Well, Gabrielle, first of all, the most amazing thing about Donald Trump's energy, his vigor, is that he's almost 80 years old. I mean, he is not a spring chicken. But Donald Trump, I mean, based on the way that he talks, based on his impromptu press conferences, the press gaggles inside the Oval Office there, I mean, literally dancing halfway around the world in Malaysia, as the case may be. I mean, boy, I mean, he is just as much an international global icon now as he was 30, 40 years ago, back when he was kind of the fan favorite of the New York City tabloid scene. I mean, this is a guy with just an infinite shelf life because he has really he has an insatiable, I think, love of life. If there's really one thing that you can say about Donald Trump, he's a larger than life figure. The man just loves life, and I think that life, frankly, loves Donald Trump very much back. But you're right. The Xi Jinping meeting later this week, that is very much what I am watching. That is, I think, very much what many China hawks here in the United States are watching. It'll be very interesting to see the reception that he gets from Xi Jinping after this very warm welcome in Southeast Asia. They basically rolled out the red carpet for him in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia, meeting with the Prime Minister of Japan, where he is very, very favorably viewed due to his longstanding China hawkishness. So will Xi Jinping get the message that America is now viewed quite favorably in most of the Indo-Pacific, other than the renegade rogue nation of China? I'm not sure if Xi Jinping will get the message, frankly. What I do know is that when Trump sits down with Xi, he ought to remember, and I think he will remember, that America fundamentally still has the leverage when it comes to the U.S.-China bilateral relationship. China is a rising power. They are not to be taken lightly. They have a very serious military. Certainly it would be a catastrophic event if they were to invade Taiwan. But fundamentally, the United States is still the greater power when it comes to financial capital, social capital, human capital. And as long as Trump, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, and others sit down with that mentality in mind there, when they're face-to-face, mano-mano with Xi Jinping, then like you, Gabrielle, I have faith that the art of the deal will prevail and prevail positively for Americans.
Now, the man accused of murdering Charlie Kirk, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, has faced court for a virtual appearance. He spoke briefly off camera, and a judge approved his request to wear regular clothes in court. So the October 30 hearing has been postponed because lawyers needed more time for discovery and to brief their motions. Now, Tyler Robinson faces a top charge of aggravated murder, which carries the potential death penalty. He's due back in court in January next year. So, Josh, this is the latest development in the case. There's, of course, so much interest in this. We all want justice. And, of course, I think we all want more information about this guy, how on earth he was able to allegedly do this. Josh, you've had to deal with some pretty disgusting and wild accusations from conspiracy theorists. Candace Owens suggested that you had prior knowledge of Charlie Kirk's assassination. What's the latest with that? Are you still having to fight off some of these disgusting accusations being thrown at you?
Well, Gabriella, sadly being accused of such a horrific act by the person who has become, frankly, America's leading, most prominent neo-Nazi propagandist. I mean, it's not fun. It's definitely not an enviable situation to be put in, especially as a Jewish man with a wife and a young family here. You know, Gabrielle, there actually was someone who was arrested just about a week ago outside Houston, Texas, who was arrested for issuing death threats online against me and against 3 other Floridians, my friends, Carol Markowitz, the New York Post, Seth Dillon of Babylon Bee, and Laura Loomer. So this person has been taken into custody. But folks like Candace Owens, they have a large platform despite the demonic garbage that they often spew, and they're able to rile up a lot of people there. So it's not been a particularly fun saga, Gabriella, there. But, fortunately, look, there's something to be said for having the right enemies. And I've always been a firm believer in the notion that you can judge someone not merely by their friends, but by their enemies. Once upon a time, I never would have viewed Candace Owens as an enemy. Once upon a time, Candace Owens was a force for good in this world. She kind of came up, being very friendly with Charlie Kirk, Dennis Prager, Dave Rubin, Ben Shapiro. I mean, a lot of kind of titans of the American right, of the Western right in general. And at some point, she just turned. I don't claim to have all the answers there, but what I do know is that what comes out of her mouth on a seemingly daily basis is utterly deranged to the point of just being a Kafka-esque farce. Unfortunately, that has some real ramifications, as we saw with the lunatic who was arrested for issuing death threats online against me and 3 others there.
Yeah.
So I'm still fending off a little bit, Gabriella, there, but life goes on. Charlie would want us to go on and take this fight forward, and that's what I'm here to do.
Josh, power to you. I think some of those accusations being thrown at you by Candace Owens, it was disgusting to watch online. Well done with how you've been able to handle it. Now, let's talk about Argentina's president, Javier Milei. He's won decisive victories in the midterm elections. It strengthens his hand to push through sweeping economic reforms. The election was widely seen as a referendum on Milei's past 2 years in office, and his party scored more than 40% of votes compared with 31% of votes, so exceeding analysts' projections. Josh, what did you make of the result?
Well, I think it's interesting, Gabrielle, when you juxtapose Javier Milei's clear success in Argentina thus far with everything else going on in South America and perhaps Latin America more generally. So the South American continent, unfortunately, right now is something of a left-wing catastrophe. You have Nicolas Maduro, who is a Chinese-Iranian plant, a die-in-the-world Castro-esque communist there in Venezuela. In Brazil, in the not-so-distant past, you had Jair Bolsonaro, one of the anchors of the global right. Now he's been replaced by Lula da Silva, who is another kind of Chinese puppet, a far-left actor there in the largest country in all South America. And in Colombia, which in the post-Pablo Escobar, post-Cocaine Cowboys era was actually one of the linchpins, one of the anchors of America's geopolitical strategy in South America, Colombia is now run by a puppet of the drug cartels, a puppet who effectively called for Donald Trump's death in a much widely circulated clip here in the U.S. recently. So South America is a mess, with the seeming exception of Argentina, which is really, really good news because Argentina was run by left-wing Peronists, by socialist economic thinkers for a very long time. So Milei has been able to achieve a lot in a very short period of time. Now, it's true, they took something of a bailout from the United States there, so it hasn't been done entirely of their own accord there. But due to the U.S. support and due to a lot of their own policies, the country has demonstrably improved on many key core economic metrics when it comes to jobs, wages, GDP per capita, things like that there. And the voters are currently rewarding him there. So I think when you juxtapose again what's happening there in Buenos Aires with the rest of the Chinese Communist Party's sprawling sphere of influence in South America, you kind of see this dueling visions, this dichotomy between the American sphere of influence and the Chinese sphere of influence. And the voters seem to be gravitating, it seems to me, towards the American vision, not the Chinese vision.
Josh Hammer, Senior Editor at Large at Newsweek, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Gabriella.